What's up, guys? Dr. Andrew Fix from Physio Room back here on the Code, bringing another episode to you guys where today what we're going to talk about is a conversation that was recently had in our office with a client of ours. And if I can sort of like set the stage here a little bit, this is a runner. This is somebody who's having knee pain. And this is somebody who, they've been coming in the office. They stopped running because of the pain in their knee. And ultimately, they want this pain to go away so they can get back to running, so that they can run the races that they were trying to train for. And we were having a conversation about their goals, and we were having a conversation about like what is truly more important. And we'll dive into that a little bit. Before we do, I just want to thank you guys for tuning in to this episode of The Code, however you're listening to us today, and whether you've joined us for previous episodes or not. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you hopping on this podcast and helping us keep it going. So let's jump right in. So this person's having knee pain, and I was asking them about, what are your goals here? Like, what are we trying to accomplish so that I can make sure we're crafting a treatment plan that's ultimately going to lead to the outcome that they are looking for. And in our office at Physio Room, we try every single time when we're working with someone to follow this 3-step process called reset, restore, reload. And if we kind of like detail out what that looks like, that basically means the initial stages of treatment when somebody is coming in with some active pain or symptoms. We're trying to reset things. We're trying to calm down the nervous system. We're trying to calm down their symptoms. We're using things like hands-on tissue work, manipulations, dry needling, cupping, all the different modalities and things you can think of to try and reset and calm things down, get those symptoms to go away, put the fire out, so to speak. But ultimately, we need to transition into this phase of the process that is the restoring phase, and that's improving or trying to address the root cause of what is going on. That's improving the range of motion. Maybe it's an ankle mobility problem. That's improving the strength. That's improving the motor control and the stability and activation sequencing, getting the right muscles to fire at the right time so that they can perform effectively. So that's the restoring phase. That's where we spend a big bulk of our time. And then ultimately we have this reloading phase, which is not commonplace in the world of physical therapy. Reloading is ultimately we're trying to build a more robust, a more resilient human being. We're trying to improve strength. We're trying to improve their training capacity, tissue resilience. We are trying to create harder to kill human beings, right? We're trying to make sure that they can withstand the rigors of the training that they're trying to do, whatever that might be, right? That doesn't mean you have to be running marathons or ultra marathons. That might be playing with grandkids. That might be shoveling snow when we get 2 feet of snow here in the winters of Colorado. Can your body tolerate the demands of the things that you want to do? Reset, restore, reload. Okay, so naturally this person tells us, yeah, I want my knee pain to go away so that I can run. And what I paused for a second, and then what I asked this person was, okay, is pain-free the goal, or is being able to run a certain distance the goal? And that question was a little bit confusing for them at first, because they said, well, I want to be able to run without pain. And I said, absolutely, I 100% agree with you. And we're going to do everything we can to make that be the outcome that we get. But is pain-free the goal, or is being able to run the goal? And ultimately we settled on that the running was more important than the pain. And I love that, because what we want to do is we want to make the activity the goal. We want to make the thing the goal, not relieving the symptom, right? Of course we don't want symptoms. And there's a lot of things we can do to reduce those symptoms. But what we always have to keep in mind, what we try to relay and educate to the folks that we're working with, is sometimes in order to get from point A to point B, we are going to have to work through some symptoms in order to get there, especially when this is a musculoskeletal related thing, especially when this is like a tendinopathy, for example, which is basically what this individual has going on here in the anterior front of the knee. Is ultimately we're going to need to strengthen our way out of this problem that we're dealing with. But along the way, there's going to be some discomfort. There's going to be some challenging times that we have to push through in order to ultimately get to the point where we can run without knee pain, we're probably going to have to run with a little bit of knee pain, or we're going to have to strengthen with a little bit of knee pain, and that's okay, right? Having pain doesn't mean that you have to stop doing all the things that bring that pain on. We just need to know how much we can push, when we shouldn't push, and we need to balance some of these other variables. Like we want to know when we can push someone. What's the stress in your life like? How are you eating? How are you sleeping? And the better people are doing in these other categories, the more bandwidth or leeway, buffer zone we have to be able to push them in the office. The more in disarray somebody's life outside of the clinic might be, the more stress they're under, the smaller their body's capacity is to be able to tolerate these things. We may not want to push someone as much. If we've got a new parent who's not sleeping, we're going to want to back down the intensity of the things that we're doing in the office because their system may not be able to handle that as well. Is that tracking? That makes sense? So we need to know when to put our foot on the gas, when to take our foot off, and we're probably going to have to work through some symptoms to get to that outcome. And one of the reasons why I wanted to sort of bring this up is when we have stuff that's bothering us. I've been prone to a long-standing Achilles pain, and those of you that know me know that I've dealt with a lot of pain in the Achilles, and there was a period of time for about 3 years where I did not do much running. Well, I love running, and why I wasn't doing it was because every time I ran, my Achilles would hurt, and it was to the point where it was, causing me to limp, causing me to favor my running form, and I didn't want something else to start hurting, so I was just avoiding the running. But when you do that, it's really easy to think about all the things you can't do because of the symptom that you're having, pain, numbness, tingling, whatever. And the problem with that is we get in this mindset of now we're just thinking about all the things we can't do. Oh, I can't run, so I can't train for this, I can't do that. And it gets you in this really poor mindset. It gets you in this poor mental place. And then it starts carrying over into the other things, and you start becoming a I can't person rather than I can, right? So what we try to reframe and what we try to encourage people to do is, yes, we're not going to pull someone out of their sport or activity unless we really think we need to. We are going to try to work through things, not avoid things. But we want to also spin the conversation around, and we want to focus on the things that you can do rather than I can't run, I can't bike, I can't do this or that. What are the things you can do? You can go to the gym, and this is a good opportunity to work on your strengthening. You can continue to go for hikes. You can still run a certain distance before your symptoms get up too high where we may have to modify a little bit of things. You can still do this, you can still do that. And if we can focus on the things that we can do rather than the things that we cannot do, it's going to put you in such a better mental place. You're going to have more belief and more of a positive thinking attitude about how we're going to get back to the things that you ultimately want to do. Whereas if you just rest and you just avoid and you only focus on the one thing that you want to be able to do that you're not able to do at the level you wish you were right now, you're always going to be in this Debbie Downer kind of mood and Debbie Downer kind of mindset. And it's going to take you longer to get back to doing the things that you love. We can stimulate positive mood responses, benefits of exercise, and all the things that brings our body and our mind by doing other things, right? And I know runners want to run, cyclists want to cycle, hikers want to hike, swimmers want to swim, you name it. Gymnasts want to do gymnastics. Absolutely agree. But we can continue to push it in other areas, keep those symptoms at bay while we work on the root cause issues that are going to address those symptoms, and focus on the things that we can do rather than the things that we are unable to do. And if we can do that, it is very few and far between, very rare that we're not going to be able to help that person get through the symptoms and get back to the activities that they love to do. In the case of this person, we are working on a strengthening protocol. We're strengthening their hips. We're improving their foot and ankle stability to control the mechanics at the knee. We're strengthening the knee. We're strengthening the muscles of the leg so that they can tolerate the demands of running, so that when their foot lands on the ground, they're able to control that in a nice, stable position in their leg so that they're able to run, train for the half marathons, train for the full marathons, do the races and the things that they want to be able to do. but it doesn't happen overnight, right? These are processes that we need to work through. You can do it. Sometimes you need to implement the help of somebody, and that is okay. So think about it. What can you do? Focus on those things, and then you'll get back to the things that you're struggling with. If you just keep at it, keep the consistency. And I wish you nothing but success. Thank you guys for tuning in to this episode of The Code. Really hope you were motivated by this to go out there and focus on the things that you're able to do. Lean into those, and we look forward to catching you on the next episode. We'll talk to you later. If you stayed with us and you made it to the end of the podcast here, you could imagine how important reviews are to grow this show, to get it in front of more people. So if you've never left a review for us before, now would be a great time to do so. Go pop 5 stars on there. Tell us something that you liked, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks so much.